What's going on, guys and girls? It's Ghost Robo, and ever since I first laid my hands and eyes on Horizon Zero Dawn, I have been so pumped to make this exact video, and that is my Mega Monster Guide as I show you how to tackle and take down a whole slew of the mechanized dinos waiting for you in the wondrous world of Horizon. Now, the bestiary numbers 26, and I will be showcasing a lot of those, including some boss level dinos, so make sure you stay till the end to see two of those mega creatures. But combat in Horizon is incredible. Thanks to Sony for inviting me to the preview event where I got to play around with this world for 5 hours, and the combat consistently kept me on my toes. I love that it's a challenge. I love that it surprises you. I love that it is deep and also exhilarating. I love that you're dodging, you're rolling, you're jumping, you're aiming, you're crafting, you're killing, and it keeps evolving as you go. The more dinos you meet, the more you'll see that you have to specifically target and take these guys out in special ways. Now, the basic enemies that you're seeing here are the first that we'll cover, and the number one guy right now is the Watcher. He is the most common enemy, the guy with the single eye, and that eye is his strength and also his softest point. So that eye will spot you wherever you may be as long as you are exposed. But it also is exactly where you want to shoot, and a direct hit of the eye will lead to an instant takedown. But even the basic enemy, like the Watcher, can really damage your health bar. Early in the game, a swipe of the Watcher tail will take down about half your bar. So you have to constantly maintain space, maintain composure, and maintain prowess, which I love. Now, you're also seeing some Scrappers here, which are another pretty basic enemy. They are pretty prevalent throughout the world, and they fire energy balls at you out of their face, which is just a great quality for anyone to have. But you can do a lot of things to these guys. You're seeing me take off individual pieces of their armor, and these more basic foes don't have a lot of intricate systems, so hitting them anywhere is really going to be helpful in order to lower that HP bar. Every character, every creature, human or robotic, does have a health bar above them to help keep track of how you're doing. And let's show some more of that depth. Let's start off with one of the real cool enemies in the game, and that will be the Sawtooth. Now, the Sawtooth, as you see, has a bit of a cheetah, a bit of a tiger feel to him, and these screens here are really cool because they show you what's going on system-wise, what's going on weapon-wise, attack-wise, and how best to take down said dino. It also shows their weaknesses, their strengths, and this is part of the planning phase. When you first come across a new dino like the Sawtooth, you're going to want to analyze it, and so you sort of queue up your detective vision or your computer vision or whatever you want to call it, your holographic vision, and you're able to really get in and see what makes this beast tick, and then you can figure out how to talk it. And so I'm going to use some traps to really get this guy slowed down a bit. He is quick and will come at you a lot harder than either the Watcher or the Scrapper before him. So I want to lay down some electric traps to try and even the battlefield. Early on, you'll acquire an ability via the skill tree that allows you to do critical hits when you have a downed enemy. So you come in and do a critical melee strike that will deal more damage than a normal melee strike. Plus, taking them down just gives you some time to let loose with some fire arrows or something else damaging that you may want to use. Now, this guy doesn't have a lot of specifically targetable systems, so I am again doing much more damage to his overall body. But fear not, as we progress, you will see a lot of exact zones and different zones. Some dinos have multiple attacks, and targeting different parts of their body will permanently disable certain attacks. So I'm laying traps because this is the best way to, again, slow this guy down, come in for a critical hit, and really deal some mega damage. Now, he may seem like an average enemy now, but this is, a couple hours into the campaign. Early on, when you fight one of these guys, it feels like a boss battle because you've only taken down Watchers, and so you're like, holy crap, Sawtooth means business. And they can wipe out entire tribal hunting groups. So these guys don't mess around. They can take out houses, they can take out villages of innocents, they can also take out war groups, war bands. So you have to be careful. I'm lobbing some bombs at him out of my slingshot to deal as much damage as I can. And I love just the visual flair. It's from their Killzone days, how they had the glowing eyes of the Helgen, and now you have the glowing body parts of the mechanized dinos of Horizon, which helps you identify where you're hitting and what you're hitting. So we took down the Sawtooth. There goes the first big bad that we learned to disable. Now, sometimes creatures are not as aggressive as you may imagine. The Tallneck here is a lot more of a calm creature, and he is one that is there for you to climb and see the sights, expand your map and expand your view. So he actually will not attack. Now, I did not try to attack him, and I wonder what happens if you do such a thing, because a lot of the other creatures in the game, sort of like the Strider, who is your horse type creature, your first mount that you will acquire, they won't attack you, but they can get kind of violent if you come at them. But the Tallneck won't do anything as long as you're just, you know, treating him with love and kindness, or treating her. These are robots. They can be anything they want. And so we're going to climb up top and look at this view. The draw distance was really good, and this was just on a regular PS4. So on PS4 Pro, it's going to look just bonkers, which I love that it's a really, really visually just sexy and just delicious game in every way. The combat and the gameplay mechanics are great, but this also is a feast for your eyes and ears. And hopefully you're hearing some of the sounds of the world as well.
Easy there. It shouldn't take long.
Yeah, just a lot of cool tech noises. The dinos make a lot of like mechanical noises as well, and there's just a lot of like real cool audio sound bites that I think will become quite memorable as you work your way through the world of Zero Dawn. Next up on our agenda is an angry enemy. Now again, the Tallneck gives us some time to admire and relax and chill. But that will not last for long, because next up we have the Grazer. Now, the Grazer is in between. He's not as aggressive as the Sawtooth, but he will be more angry than the Tallneck. And he has blaze canisters on his back, which are a great spot to target. You can also target the horns. The razor blades up top can damage you from melee distance, and you may want to dismantle those at first blush. Now, I'm going to show you a fight against a corrupted Grazer, because corrupted enemies are stronger versions of their normal counterparts, and you will find corrupted zones throughout the game, and they are littered with this black and red gunk. It'll be on the enemies, and it'll also be on the ground, and as you approach, which you'll see in a second, it does damage you, and they are tougher and more aggressive versions of themselves. And I saw a lot of different kinds of corrupted. Pretty much every enemy in this video, I saw a corrupted version of, save for the two huge dinos at the end. But I saw corrupted watchers, I saw corrupted bellowbacks, who you'll see in a second, corrupted scrappers, who we've already seen, and corrupted grazers. Normally grazers mind their own business grazing. And, you know, you can take them out, and you can cause them to flee and flight, just like you could with the Strider I mentioned. But when they're corrupted, all hell breaks loose. The long leg is another creature who is really climbing the scale of aggression. This guy is kind of like an ostrich, and he has a concussion sack, and he does sort of these like ground pound sonic boom wave attacks that will knock you over. So you want to keep your distance and also shoot his freaking sack. Anytime there's a sack on a guy, like, just shoot the sack. That's the rule of the day. So we're taking out some watchers, as you see here, because everybody loves a good watcher. And here comes the long leg. And he is, he's not that hard. I was surprised that he wasn't as hard as I expected. But you'll see him puff up and, again, go for that concussion sack. And I love that, like, you can do this mid-fight and it pauses things. So you can kind of, like, feel like you're this huntress, this tribal warrior, this really smart and dedicated warrior that knows exactly how to tackle your environment. And you use again that sort of holographic vision, your analytic tool to really assist you. There you see the ground pounds going on, and these guys will attack your Strider as well. So you see my Strider nearby, and he's gonna start getting involved in the encounter. I mean, one thing I'm really curious of is if at any point there will be interspecies warfare. Like, are all these mechanized dudes and dudettes and dinos, are they all on the same side? What about bandits versus these guys? What about, you know, people versus creatures? Will that sometime come into play? There is a battle in the first video I posted on Horizon where you'll see sort of bandits and dinos working together, which was not nice. It was not nice at all. That was one of the harder encounters that I faced off against.
Candy?
But right after this long leg, scrappers are going to come your way, so I thought I'd showcase some more of that now that you have a better idea about the combat and about the different enemies that you'll face. These guys remind me of something straight out of like a bullet hell or out of an arcade shooter. The sound they make when they just blaze you with their energy balls is pretty cool. And I like the fact that many of these enemies, you know, they dealt damage in a variety of ways. So, you know, they could come in and melee you. They could also fire from afar. You'll see an enemy coming up called the Stalker. I believe he's our next baddie. That drops mines and fires sniper bullets, which was really cool. That these aren't just, you know, like beasts that are going to come at you like, you know, like an actual tiger or lion or bear and just try to maul you away. They have a variety of systems, and as they get more dangerous, those systems multiply. And eventually you've got guys like the Fire Bellowback who are just launching all sorts of hatred at you wherever you may be. So the Stalker is coming up next. And unfortunately some of these I didn't grab a title card for. But I can explain exactly what's going on with this dino. Right here, this guy is nasty. He can go invisible. He can snipe you. And he can drop freaking mines. So you can't get near because of the mines. You can't really stand in one place far because of the sniper, but you can only really see him when he stops to snipe. So it creates this cat and mouse game of trying to snipe him while he's trying to snipe you, and as you see, like, dodging is incredibly important. I'm trying to hit him with fire arrows for some damage over time. And I also have laced the ground with electric traps, and whatever traps you have, there's the rope caster, there's these electric traps, eventually the trip caster. Eventually, I'm assuming you get more different kinds of traps, at least I hope. I think there's fire traps and a few others. You're going to want to lay those around when you're dealing with a really strong foe, because it allows you to get in and do this. And you can layer your crit with regular melee strikes, especially if they are a bigger beast. This guy's akin to a cheetah, they said, because he does go invisible, he does move very quickly, and he does snipe you from afar, but I bashed him down. And now we've got the Bellowback. The fact that he's a fire Bellowback, maybe there's more kinds of Bellowbacks. He has two big sacks, the cargo on the back and then the gullet, which is just such a great word. But there's 26 slots, like I said, for enemy types, so I wonder if there's going to be like an ice Bellowback, something like that I could definitely see. But this girl is just vicious, so she is going to launch all sorts of angry flames at you, and the different sacks, the gullet and the cargo sack, control these. So that one was lobbing more like, almost like, you know, catapult style flaming balls of fury at us, and that's what's controlled by her back. But that gullet is going to control a much more up close and personal fire attack that you'll see in a second here. Now this is the most prolonged fight I had in my time with Horizon, because she has a crap ton of health. And eventually, you will acquire more and more ways to defeat these creatures, these dinos, and so these fights will not be as elongated. Okay, so there's Catapult, and you also saw more of the Fire Breath. And as you fight, if you're able to disable one of their systems, you will permanently erase that attack from said beast's arsenal. So it does behoove you to target a specific area of their body over and over again. And eventually you'll get different kinds of arrows. I have like a takeaway arrow that rips away parts of a beast's armor and sort of pulls at her systems, if you will, and that can be really useful when trying to disable or dismantle like this gross gullet here. But I'm also using fire arrows, which isn't really ideal, but I didn't have anything ice right now at this point in the game. And I like that these guys are just roaming, right? They are all over, and you may run into something that is just way too massive and way too powerful. So you really have to be on your toes. Here comes some takeaway arrows. Trying to target that gullet from behind is real tricky, but luckily you have a little bit of a slowdown when you zoom in. But you can just run into areas and enemies that are just way too tough. And I would say that the Bellowback is borderline too tough. This was the first time you encountered the Bellowback, and it was part of a main story mission. Not fighting the Bellowback, but going this route. So I had to pass by it, and I think it was cool how they decided to like introduce you to something that's like real strong, and introduce it to you fairly early, so when you come back later with more skills, more weaponry, you can feel like the boss instead of being bossed around. Because right now I was like, holy crap, this girl is a freaking just demon, and taking out this Bellowback, Fire Bellowback, was super tasking, but it was so fun. And again, it's because the combat is so fast and it flows so well, and I hope that comes across in the gameplay. But you really do have such a great set of acrobatic and athletic moves. Aloy animates and moves so well. She is a very a finessed fighter, and I like that. And I like that you're able to craft on the go so easily. Throughout the video, you've seen me do that, and that you can transition between like roll, zoom, slow, craft, evade, fire, real quickly, and never feel like you're taken out of the action, never feel like it's clunky, never feel like you're unable to do something. And there we go, really doing work with those takeaway arrows. And it has to be that way because these enemies are vicious and violent and fast themselves, and they flow well themselves. So if you didn't have that sort of ability set, it would be almost impossible for this kind of combat to feel right. But it does, because both you and the beast are just real bad dudes and dudettes running through this world. So the bellow bag is almost down, about to go night-night. And there we go, explosion as one of the sacks clearly ruptured, and flames and fire went everywhere. It also, along with disabling systems, it does much more damage if you are able to remove a system or a body part entirely. That works really well. Now I've got an interesting enemy, and maybe you guys can help me out, some of you Horizon experts, because I don't know what this is. At first I thought it was a regular Watcher, but you'll see in a second that it does not go down easily, and I feel like I'm hitting it in the eye, which normally is an instant kill, 90 damage instant kill, one shot on a regular Watcher. And this Watcher can charge up and fire, so this is no ordinary Watcher, and that again confirms the bellowback idea that there will be multiple types of certain creatures, and I don't know if that is going to contribute to that total of 26, or if it will just you know, fall underneath as like a subcategory of the Watcher. You see I got a trophy for defeating all different kinds of recon enemies, so clearly it was a different variety of Watcher. Now here we go. If you've been with me this long, you're about to be rewarded. The snapmaw. It is a crocodile dino, an alligator that is all about freezing your butt off. And it has a freeze sack right underneath its maw, as well as a blaze canister. You have to be pretty on point when fighting this fool. Now, this is one that I did in their 4K demo, so my Aloy was not like leveled to where she would be. This was more of like a play space, just to sort of showcase some of the more enormous mechanical dinosaurs. And I thought there was just one, so I was like, okay, I'll set some traps. Traps are important. I'll use this river as kind of my way to keep a buffer, you know, between me and the snapmaw. I'm like, hey, snapmaw, okay, we ready to do battle? Let's switch those fires. You have got ice, I've got fire. This should be fun. And then I'm like, oh my god, it's a husband and wife dynamic duo. You got the freaking dream team of snapmaws here, one below in the cave and one above on the log. Not going to end well for me, but I'm doing good damage, really looking to eliminate that freezy sack beneath its jaw, but I've got two, and so tackling two, probably not the best idea, and keeping my distance really wasn't gonna work if I wanted to get in and do a critical. So I'm like, okay, I will risk crossing this river. It's deeper than I imagined, but I can swim fast, so I'm gonna get in here, and oh god, there comes mama. So I slap daddy, and I'm like, hey, I hope you enjoyed that stick in your freaking freeze sack. You seem like you're in a bad way right now. That's good. I'm glad. Please lose your freeze. But then Mama comes over here and is like, whoa, I'm going to blast you. But apparently I didn't deal with the freeze because they just froze me straight into death. So I bit the dust there because those guys are crazy. If that wasn't insane enough, the thunderjaw is the biggest thing I saw all day. It is the Tyrannosaurus Rex of the world of Horizon. It is the culmination of all the systems that a mechanized dino could have. As you see, there is a litany here. All sorts of stuff, right? Disc launcher, freeze canister, blaze canister, rocket launching, freaking whatever. It's insane. So this guy is, I don't know how you'll take him down. He is so massive, and look, he just knocks over trees, no care for the environment. This dude is, you know, freaking, he shut down the EPA the first day he awoke. And so we have to do our darndest to damage him. He fires this disc launcher out that shoots a laser beam. Okay, that's one thing. But then he also fires super fast energy balls from his face, and he can launch missiles out of his shoulders. Now, couple that with the fact that he charges at you, and he covers a lot of ground with his big old body. This dino is going to be a pain in not just the neck, but in the arms, the legs, the head, the hair, even the eyeballs, because he is terrifying to take on. And yet I loved it. Like, I loved seeing such a massive foe for Aloy to fight, and I just thought it was so fun meeting and greeting and then kicking the butt of all the different dinos throughout the game. And there's many more, like I said, 26 and that bestiary, and I don't know how the variants factor in, but what I do know is that the game is out soon, and I can't freaking wait. So I hope you guys enjoyed this monster mashup and got some tips and tricks on how to take down some of these enemies. It's a blast. You got to experience it for yourself. So freaking cool. Cannot wait for Horizon. Thank you guys and girls so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day. Drink so much chocolate. Let me know which dino you like the best in the comments below. Hit that like button if you want more Horizon. I'll bring it your way. Until that time, drink so much chocolate. We're going to sleep. We will see you all later.